Hey guys, Programming Made Easy here, and today we're going to do the third video of our Learn Java from Scratch tutorial. In this video we are going to cover user input. So today we are going to write a program that gets the user's name, gets the user's age, gets the user's GPA, and then outputs all that user input information back out to the screen. So before we get started, we're going to have to learn about what is called an import statement. So an import statement basically imports some library of code that developers already have written that we can use. And that is things, for example, like some built-in functions. For example, like the system.out.println line is something that we learned, right, that these Java programmers made for us. So we're going to import a library, and it's going to be called java.util for utility, and it's going to be a scanner. Now, the scanner object is basically what's going to get all of our user input. And as you heard, I said object. So if you remember from our last video, that means that it's a non-primitive data type. So we're going to create a new scanner object. So we're going to have to label the data type. Remember, when you're defining a variable, you need to first state the data type because Java is a typed language. Say scanner. We're going to call it user input just for simplicity, right? I'm going to use my camel casing there for good programming style. And we're going to say it's a new scanner. And then inside of these parentheses, we're actually going to have to state what it's doing because there's a lot of options. And so we're going to be focused on this system because we're going to be taking stuff from the console, and it's going to be the input stream, this .in. So we're going to be, basically that's just saying that this container in memory is going to be taking stuff from the console, right? It's going to be storing stuff from the console. So let's do our first part of the program, right? We need to get the user's name. So first let's prompt the user, right? So we're going to use that handy little sout shortcut. And then we're going to write, what is your name? Right? And then we can then create a variable to store this name. So we're going to be expecting a string, right? Some sort of sequence of characters. We're going to call it name. And it's going to equal the user input, and then we're going to put a dot, and then you see we get all these options. So dot next, and it has this little string. So that means we're going to expect a string. We could also get, oopsies, I'm going to bring that back up so you guys can see. You could also do like next int to ensure that it's an integer or a decimal or a floating point number, etc., etc. So we're just going to be focused on this next int in this case because we're going to be looking for a string, right? And then we're going to print that out to the console. So we're going to use that handy system.out.printf that we learned in the last video. So we're going to say system.out.printf, my name is, and then %s, if you remember, that's the format specifier. So that is what data type is going to be expected here. And in our case, it's a string, so we do %s. And then we're going to put a comma outside of our parentheses, or outside of our quotes, and then put the variable name that we're going to fill into this spot. Okay, so let's run this right now and see where we're at. So if we click our little run button, we see that the console prompts us, what is your name? So my name is Programming Made Easy. And then it outputs it to the screen. Now, one thing I forgot to say when I was doing this is because we're using printf, not println, there is no actual what's called a \n or new line character at the end of this. So we have to specify that. So we have to manually come inside of these quotes and do \n. That's just something to remember when you're using that system.out.printf if you want the next thing to print on a new line. So next, we're going to ask for the user's age. So we'll do another sout, and we'll say, what is, or how old are you? We'll say, how old are you? How old are you? Question mark. And then we're going to need to do basically a similar thing, but this time because we're going to be expecting a number, right, some sort of integer, we're going to give it a different data type. So we're going to give it an int. We're going to call it age. And we're going to say equals the user input dot next int, right, because we're expecting some sort of integer value. And then we're going to do a similar thing to print it back out to the console. System.out.printf. I'm going to say I am %d for decimal. years old, and we're going to give it the age. Now, let's run this and see where we're at. What is your name? Programming Made Easy. I'm 20 years old. And I'm 20 years old. Awesome. So it's doing everything we want. So we've already gotten these two things done out of our objectives. So next thing let's do is let's get the user's GPA. So we're going to do another similar print out statement. We're going to say, what is your current GPA? And then we're going to need to create another numerical type of data, but we're going to need to do a double, remember, because that is the primitive data type that is any numbers with decimal points. So, you know, we're going to do a double, and we're going to call it GPA, and it's going to equal the user input dot next double. You see we have a double for it's expecting that data type. And then we're going to do system.out.printf. And we're going to say my current GPA is, and then we're going to give it that format specifier. In this case, it's %f because we're looking for some sort of floating point number or double. %f is for both floats and doubles in Java. And then we're going to give it GPA. And now this should do everything we want the program to do. So let's run it and make sure. So my name, Programming Made Easy. I'm 20 years old. Oh, and I forgot, if you guys notice, remember I was doing that \n, and I actually forgot to do that at the end of this one. So that shows that I need to do that \n, the new line character. So if we run this again, guys, we're going to see that that's fixed. And it gives my current GPA. Now, a little handy trick, if you guys notice that prints off a bunch of extra zeros. To do that, we can do just a %.2f, and that'll round it to 2 decimal places. So if we rerun this program and re-input our information, right, and 3.65, now we see it just does it to 2 decimal places. That's a pretty handy trick. Okay, guys, so I think that covers everything as far as simple getting user input from the console and how the scanner object works in Java. So I hope this video is useful, and subscribe for more. In the next video, we will be covering conditional statements.